Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys 7 books that I plan to read this fall. This is a big stack of books. By the way, whenever I make this and I'm like in bed reading with it, Chris always comes in and is like, the whole room smells like cinnamon. Now that I have my tea, we can get right into today's video. I'm excited to be sharing with you guys a lot of different fall type of videos, but I've just been waiting till it gets a little bit cool, and I thought that today's video would be a good starting point. And so like I said, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 7 books that I will be reading this fall, and maybe you'll want to pick up 1 or 2 of them as well. The cooler weather just makes me want to read so much more, and I think I mentioned it in my last video, but reading has been something that I have been really enjoying. It's kind of started as a way to get off my phone, especially before bed. I kind of wanted to kick the habit of just scrolling through my phone, scrolling through Instagram before I went to bed, because I knew that it was causing more harm than good, especially when it came to me falling asleep. And so reading kind of started out of a necessity to sleep better, but since then it has turned into something that I have really enjoyed, and I can see going into the fall months and into the winter that I'm just going to be loving it more and more, and choosing to pick up a book instead of sit on my phone. And all of these books have some sort of either cozy magical feel or kind of a spooky Halloween thriller feel, and thrillers are my favorite kind of book to read, so there are many in this list. Anyways, let's get on to the first fall themed book, and that is The Little Book of Hygge. I've seen this around a lot for the past few years, and if you've never heard of the concept of hygge, it is the Danish concept of pretty much cultivating that feeling of coziness. So this book pretty much is all about being cozy. This is the only nonfiction book that I'm going to be showing you today. Like I said, it pretty much just takes you through how the Danish people harness that feeling and create that feeling of coziness and hominess. I mean, that's just perfect for fall. So I thought this would be a great coffee table book just to keep out and to pick up every once in a while. I'm very excited to dive into this one. Okay, moving on to the fiction books. I think I'm going to show them in order of like least scary to most scary. So we'll start with just a simple magical book, and that is of course Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. And I mean, I feel like I don't really need to give a plot summary of this. I think everybody knows what Harry Potter is about. And how pretty is this cover? I love the gold with the stars, and the back's also really pretty. I feel like in the fall time is when I want to watch the Harry Potter movies, and so I figured that I would also love to read them as well. And so I'm starting off with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which is the first one, and then who knows, throughout the season or throughout the year I might pick up more Harry Potter books and hopefully get through the whole series. I think there's something really cozy about a magical book in the fall time, and I've been wanting to read more fantasy, and I figure that this is a really good intro to fantasy since it's a story that I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with the magical world and the magic system in Harry Potter, and so I think it will be a good segue into reading more fantasy. Third on my list is Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. This one might be one of the ones that I'm most excited for. This book is set in a small rural town in Virginia called Miracle Creek, and so this book follows an immigrant family from Korea, and they run something called the Miracle Submarine, which is a hyperbaric chamber which they claim can cure a variety of different illnesses and things like autism, infertility, and one day this hyperbaric chamber explodes, killing 2 people. And so this book actually follows the trial going on. We have one person on trial who we believe actually caused the chamber to explode on purpose. So this is like a courtroom drama thriller murder mystery kind of in a sense, because we are following this trial and we're trying to figure out, was this explosion an accident? Was it on purpose? And so we get a deep look into a bunch of different characters in this small town that had something to do with this hyperbaric chamber, and each person kind of has a motive, so we are trying to figure out who did it. Was it an accident? Was it not? I don't know, there's something about small towns, finding out secrets about families that I really like in a book. The next book we have is called Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. And this one is a little bit different for me because it is YA. It is a YA murder mystery. This one really caught my eye and I heard a lot of people talking about it. It has really good ratings on Goodreads. So this is actually book 1 in the Truly Devious series. I believe there are 3 books out. We follow our main character, Stevie Bell, and she gets accepted into this school called Ellingham Academy. And this is not like your typical school. It's for students that are gifted, but not necessarily just like extremely smart, but students that have a passion for something. And Stevie Bell, her passion is true crime. And so she wants to come to Ellingham Academy to try to solve a cold case that actually occurred shortly after the school opened. 1936, founder's wife and daughter are kidnapped and there's a ransom note left, and it's signed by someone named Truly Devious. And in this letter, it pretty much just lists a bunch of different methods of murder. They never figured out exactly what happened. And so years later, Stevie wants to uncover the truth about what occurred at this school. And while she's there, Truly Devious makes another appearance and somebody else dies. I think it's one of those like kind of classic murder mysteries, whodunit kind of books. I don't know if it will wrap up in this book or if we have to wait till the next book or the 3rd book to find out what happens. But I'm very excited for this one. Apparently, the atmosphere is really cozy and fun. It's set in this old school. I believe that there's even like a map at the beginning of this that shows all the different old buildings that have like hidden passageways and stairways and reading nooks and libraries. And to me, that just sounds super cozy for the fall time. And also the cover to me looks so fallish with the leaves and the colors. Reminds me of Halloween. All right, next on my reading list is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And I have actually never read an Agatha Christie book before, but because I love murder mysteries, thrillers, I figure I need to read an Agatha Christie book. She is like the classic murder mystery writer. I believe this book was written like 80 years ago. And Then There Were None is set, I believe, off the coast of England on a small island, and a group of people are invited to come stay at this house. I think it's more like maybe a mansion. And when they get there, the hosts that invited them are not there. And so the servants and the staff of the house say, don't worry, you'll meet them in the morning, just enjoy your evening. But after everyone arrives that evening, somebody turns up dead. And I think throughout the book, people keep going missing, turning up dead, and we are trying to figure out what the heck is happening, who is killing off these people? Why were they all invited to this house in the first place? So yeah, like I said, a very classic whodunit kind of book, and I'm excited to read something from Agatha Christie. I think it'll just be a really fun read, but I've also heard that this is surprisingly scary and dark, so yeah. Okay, the next one I have to share is actually one that I've already read, but I read it in the month of September, so I feel like it still totally goes along with fall reading, and that is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This is a wild ride, you guys. This book is so good. It is one of the best thrillers that I have read so far. This book had me like on the edge of my seat, scared, anxious while I was reading it. Ruth Ware, her writing, it just like sucks you in. I felt like the whole time like I was immersed, I was in the story, I was there. So many plot twists, so many things I didn't see coming. This book follows our main character Rowan, and she gets a job as a nanny in this house in Scotland. It is this old house, but it has a lot of modern technology. The parents of the kids and the owners of the house are architects and really like, you know, modern technology. So there's cameras everywhere, everything is voice activated. There's like this app that you use to lock the doors and pretty much control everything in the house. The old house mixed with the kind of creepy, like somebody's always watching, just made it really spooky. So Rowan goes to this house to nanny these kids, and of course, as soon as she turns up, she realizes that there's something spooky about the house and about the children, and I think there was like 4 nannies before her that quit right away, and there's tales of the house being haunted and creepy stuff starts to happen. As we find out early in the book and in the synopsis, one of the children turn up dead, and Rowan, the nanny, is suspected of murdering one of the kids. And so it starts off with Rowan being in jail and writing a letter to a lawyer trying to convince him to take her case, and she's pretty much throughout this letter trying to explain what happened, the full story, why she's innocent. This book is just, it's super atmospheric, and Ruth Ware has a really awesome way of building tension and setting up the atmosphere so that every little thing you are freaked out about. It is so good. I would highly recommend this if you are looking for a good thriller. Okay, last but definitely not least, we have what I think will be the scariest of all of these books, and that is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And the thing that really drew me to this book is actually the cover, because I just think it is one of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. So this book is actually set in the 1950s in Mexico in a creepy mansion type of thing, and we follow our main character Noemi, and she starts receiving letters from her cousin who was recently married, kind of this stranger that they don't know too much about. And in the letters, she is pretty much explaining how she's fearing for her life, how she thinks someone is trying to kill her, yada yada yada. So Noemi is worried and concerned, and so she goes to visit her cousin to figure out what's happening. But when she gets there, her cousin is like, oh no, I just made that up. Just kidding, I just have tuberculosis. I'm just sick. But Noemi isn't really convinced, because as she begins to stay in this old Gothic manor, weird things start to happen, and her cousin's husband's family isn't really letting her see her cousin. And so this is actually a Gothic horror novel. So it's not just a thriller, it's a horror novel. And I have never read a horror book. I've watched horror movies before and I really liked them, but I've never dabbled in this genre. And so this is something totally different for me, but I think that I will really enjoy it, because what I read is that the way she describes the house, I think it's a little like, what would the word be, like grotesque and creepy and disturbing. I think if you are not a fan of scary things at all, don't pick this book up. But if you do like scary, kind of gross descriptions and stories, I think that you will probably like this book, and I think that I will enjoy this book. It just seems like something totally different than what I've read before. This is one I'm gonna save to read around Halloween because I think it will be a really good but scary read. All right, so these are the 7 books that I am planning on reading this fall. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different than anything I've done before. Let me know in the comments down below if you read any of these books, if these seem interesting, or if you have a totally different fall book suggestion. Maybe it's magical, maybe it's spooky and creepy. Let me know in the comments down below. I'm always looking for new book recommendations. And so definitely give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to stick around for more fall content. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.